Hi, glad to see you on my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It's important to me. Have a good view. Initially, the idea of installing the tank on 4 tracks belonged to the Germans. Thus, it was planned to increase the cross-country ability of the vehicle, to give it land unsinkability. However, the developers overlooked 2 key points. Firstly, it was a huge mass which could not be effectively moved by 6 tracks, and secondly, the lack of a turret. These 2 mutually exclusive points made the vehicle under development both not a tank and not an armored vehicle, which, coupled with the almost complete lack of acceptable maneuverability, turned the project into an armored can, incapable of combat operations. Therefore, it is not surprising that the German development was lost in the pages of history. The British approached the issue more rationally. They decided to use the 4-track installation to increase the maximum allowable weight of the tank, which already indicates the right direction of design thought. The British planned to create a flagship for their tank forces, which would not be afraid of artillery fire and by all parameters could be called a fortress tank. But, unfortunately, this cast-iron colossus, weighing more than 100 tons and 10 meters long, was scrapped. It can be said that the British stepped on the German rake, but with the only amendment that they did not take into account the permissible power of the power plant of the machine. To move the experimental flagship required, without a little, the same ship's turbine. The Americans picked up the baton next, and they were the first to succeed in the 4 Caterpillar field. The widely known project of the super-heavy anti-tank SAU T-95, later renamed T-28, which had a weight of more than 80 tons and armed with a 105mm gun, was embodied in only 2 prototypes. However, unlike its predecessors, this tank was quite capable. The most famous 4-track tank was the Soviet Objekt 279, developed in the 50s. It is the brainchild of designer L.S. Troyanov, the creator of the famous IS-4. Objekt 279 was truly revolutionary. The tank was developed completely invulnerable to all types of armored vehicles of the probable enemy, as well as popular gun calibers. Among the potential competitors of the Objekt 279 were such famous tanks as the British Conqueror and the American M103. The project had to take into account and overcome the shortcomings of previous Soviet-designed heavy vehicles. To combine powerful protection, penetrating gun and high maneuverability characteristics, as well as to be suitable for use in nuclear warfare. In addition, unlike most projects of the time, the Objekt 279 was built from scratch and was not a modification of existing vehicles. Despite the fact that the layout of the tank was classical, almost every functional unit was a new technical solution. The armor volume was record small, only 11.5 cubic meters. The hull consisted of 4 cast parts reinforced with mounted armor shields. The armor of the tank varied from 182 to 305 millimeters in different places and had effective angles of inclination, which seriously increased the armor equivalent, almost up to 500 millimeters in some parts of the hull. This ensured record protection of the vehicle against all available guns at that time, with an extremely low weight of 60 tons, which by the standards of heavy tanks was an extremely insignificant indicator. The tank's control system was largely automated and simplified, and the crew of the Objekt 279 consisted of only 4 people. This was due to the use of modern aiming and guidance systems, many of which were not put into practice until the late 1960s, i.e., 15 years after development. As a weapon, it was planned to install a 130mm gun, which was a worthy competition to foreign analogs. A powerful 14.55mm machine gun was intended for anti-personnel action. The reloading system was semi-automatic and provided a rate of fire of up to 7 rounds per minute. Perhaps the only serious disadvantage of the tank was its small ammunition, only 24 rounds and 300 machine gun rounds. The power plant was powered by 2 powerful diesel engines, about 1,000 HP each. The claimed highway speed was more than sufficient, 40-55 km/h. And finally, the main feature of the design was a 4-track undercarriage, which allowed to provide extremely low specific pressure on the ground, only about 0.5 kgs per square meter, which is comparable to the performance of light tanks. The fateful moment in the life of this promising project was the field trials at Kapustin Yar firing range. At that time, in 1960, the General Secretary of the CPSU Central Committee, N.S. Khrushchev, prohibited the adoption of tanks weighing more than 37 tons, despite the fact that this decision of the party leader led to the closure of almost all heavy projects. The Obyek 279 remained the most powerful tank in the world and the pride of the design thought for many years to come. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Forget to put a like and subscribe to the channel. It's important to me. See you soon.